Welcome to Bangla City SATV News. This is Nuri Alamin with the headlines. Appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioners Bill 2022 was passed unanimously by voice vote in Parliament today. Poets reciters protest ban on politics after Bangabandhu's murder, said Prime Minister at Bangabandhu National Recitation Festival 2020-2022. No impact will fall on European business interest in Bangladesh, said EU envoy Charles Whiteley about sanctions. Bangladesh is finally going to have a legal framework for selecting the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners as Parliament passed the appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioners Bill 2022 today. Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anisul Haq moved the bill and it was passed by the voice vote. The government move came nearly 50 years after the Constitution prescribed enacting a specific law for forming the EC. The qualification of CEC and Election Commissioner is that they must be Bangladeshi citizens with minimum 50 years of age and have at least 20 years of work experience in important government, semi-government, private or judicial post, autonomous and other professions as well. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said poets and reciters were most vocal against the ban on politics after the assassination of the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Hasina made this remark while addressing the inaugural ceremony of Bangabandhu National Recitation Festival 2020-2022. The Premier said after August 15, 1975, when political activists were not possible at all, the language of protest was poetry and people were inspired by words. She also pointed out that nothing else can inspire people to protest as much as poetry, songs, drama and culture in general, referring to the infallible power to poetry. Hasina said the nation witnessed the first blow on its culture and language soon after the emergence of Pakistan, and so far the struggle for marking Bangla as a state language started in 1948. Ambassador of the European Union to Bangladesh Charles Whiteley today said that doesn't see any sign that the recent decision on sanction is having an impact on European business interest in Bangladesh. Whiteley said he would say business is business and the investor pay attention to whether they can make money in the country and whether there are attractive business climates. The EU envoy also said businesses pay attention to the overall picture in a country. The diplomat made the remark while responding a question at a program titled Meet the Reporters hosted by the Dhaka Reporters Unity DRU at its Nosrul Hamid Auditorium. A Bangladeshi expatriate in Saudi Arabia has been murdered over some money. Local police on Tuesday detained two Pakistani and a Bangladeshi over the murder of Bashir Ahmed, and the three later confessed to the killing. Police said some of the Bashir's acquaintances took him to a desolate place on the pretense of the getting COVID-19 vaccine and killed him by slitting his throat. Bashir's elder brother said others in the camp to contact the police on Monday after being unable to find Bashir, and they later detained two Pakistani and a Bangladeshi in this connection. Viewers, we're taking a short break. Stay with Bangla City SATV News. Welcome back, and you are watching Bangla City SATV News. Now we bring you the international story updates. India recently at a program of the United Nations Security Council raised the issue of genocide carried out by Pakistan Army during Bangladesh's 1971 Liberation War. Participating in their first UNSC open debate this year on protection of civilians in armed conflict wars in cities, on January 25, India slammed state actor for backing terrorism. India's parliament envoy to the UN T.S. Tirumurthy said that India has been seeking justice for a 1971 genocide committed by the Pakistan army that killed 3 million in then East Pakistan. Despite several attempts by Bangladesh, Pakistan army officers have not yet been tried by the International Court. Envoys from Moscow and Kiev on Wednesday committed to a fragile ceasefire in eastern Ukraine during talks in Paris and agreed to continue their discussions against the backdrop of warning that Russia may be preparing to invade its neighbor. A Russian troop built up close to the border when eastern Ukraine has raised fears the Kremlin is planning to intervene in its pro-EU neighbor to halt NATO's expansions in eastern Europe. A French diplomat said that more than 8 hours of discussions brokered by France and Germany had sent a good signal. A German government source later confirmed that the next war would take the place in Berlin in the second week of February. Meanwhile, the US has rejected Russia's demand to bar Ukraine from the NATO. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson refused to resign over his Partygate scandal during the weekly Prime Minister's Questions session in the House of Commons. Johnson was grilled by UK opposition leader on Wednesday before the release of an official report into the allegation of partying during the lockdown. Strammer accused Johnson of changing his story over the gatherings and misleading Parliament, an offence which was the Prime Minister agreed should trigger a resignation. Allegation that the Prime Minister and his staff floated restrictions imposed on the country to curb the spread of the coronavirus have caused public anger. Boris Johnson said that the opposite party is afraid of his government because they know people have the trust over the government of Boris Johnson. Afghan women's rights defender and civil activists protest in front of the presidential palace in Kabul for the prevention of their achievement in education. The United Nations chief said Taliban must uphold the fundamental human rights of women and children as well. He expressed concern about the recent report of arbitrary arrest and abductions of the women activists. He also urged the international community to release frozen Afghan and to prevent families from selling their babies to buy food. UN Secretary General also stated Afghanistan is hanging by a thread as the millions of impoverished citizens smuggle to survive amid deteriorating humanitarian conditions as well. After the recent talks with the Taliban leaders on Oslo, the Western diplomats are linking humanitarian aid to Afghanistan for an improvement in human rights. US biotech company Moderna announced on Wednesday that it has begun clinical trials of booster dose of vaccine designed specifically to combat the Omicron variant of the coronavirus. The trials will involve a total number of 600 adults. Half of them have already received 2 doses of Moderna COVID-19 vaccine at least 6 months ago, and half of them have received 2 doses plus the previously authorized booster dose. The booster specifically targeting the Omicron will therefore be evaluated as both a 3rd and a 4th dose. The company also reported result on the efficacy against Omicron of the booster that has already been authorized. It said that the 6 months after the booster injection, the levels of the neutralizing antibodies against the Omicron were reduced by 6 times from the peak observed 29 days after the injection. The Duke of York Prince Andrew demands a UK jury trial the Virginia Giuffre case against the civil lawsuit brought by a woman. Virginia Giuffre accused the prince of a sexual assault when she was a teenager at the homes of Giuffre, Epstein and the Ghislaine Maxwell. On the other hand, the Duke has consistently denied all the allegations against him. Meanwhile, a representative of Maxwell and Epstein, Lisa Bloom, said Prince Andrew's request was meaningless as it was Ms. Giuffre's constitutional right to have a jury trial if she asked for the one. Jordanian soldier killed 27 drug smugglers as they tried to cross the border from Syria with large quantities for the Alphametes during the snowstorm. Large quantities of drug found hidden in Syria trucks passing through the border zone. During the attempt, some other smuggler also carrying drugs fled back into the Syria. Meanwhile, Jordanian officials say Lebanon's Iran-backed Hezbollah group and the militaries of the southern Syria are behind the surge of the smuggling. On the flip side, Hezbollah denies the accusations. Even drug experts say the Syria, shattered by a decade of the civil war, has become the region's main site for the drug. President Joe Biden will honor his commitment of the nominating first African-American women to the Supreme Court of the She Is Not Replaced to the Liberal Justice at the end of the current Supreme Court term in June. Current Liberal Justice Stephen Breyer is expected to retire at the end of the current Supreme Court term. 51-year of the Kentucky Brown Jackson is believed to be the top contender among the other competing members. Ms. Jackson was a former law clerk to the Mr. Breyer, although Justice Breyer's retirement plans are yet to be officially confirmed. Now, sports news. Chile will face Argentina in the 15th round of South American World Cup qualifications tomorrow. On the other hand, Ecuador will play against most favorite Brazil. Chile, the hosts, are in desperate need for the points as they hold the 6th place with the 4 games left to play in the South America zone. A defeat to the Ecuador on the home ground left them in a very tough position. Meanwhile, Argentina has secured for the Qatar World Cup, where they will be without their damn player Lionel Messi, who decided to skip this national term window. Brazil have also been the most successful nation in the history of the competition. They want to keep this current momentum going to the event, though they have already qualified. However, Ecuador is in good form at this moment. Before ending, we go through Bangla City SATV News headlines again. Appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner Bill 2022 was passed unanimously by voice vote in Parliament today. Poets Retirees protest ban on politics after Bangabandhu's murder, said Prime Minister at Bangabandhu National Recitation Festival 2020 to 2022. No impact will fall on European business interest in Bangladesh, said EU envoy Charles Whiteley about sanctions. You are up to date with the Bangla City SATV News, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.